we're coming into reading those job postings so you know what it looks like, what you're trying to get, and then you gotta plan backward. So that's where that phrase comes in, dream forward, plan backward. So a lot of times it's hard to figure out how to get from here to there without all this in-between stuff. So if you step all the way up to there and you imagine yourself in that position, and then you think, okay, what's the step right before that? Okay, what's the step right before that? And what's the step right before that? All the way back to where you are today. That's one way of crystallizing a professional development plan. A lot of students have these really big dreams, and it's great. Especially I work with a lot of higher ed students. They want to be chancellor of a university or vice chancellor or something like that. Really, these great titles, and that's wonderful. And then one day they'll probably be that. But it doesn't happen right after graduation. They have to do the other jobs to learn how the university works before they can step up to the larger positions. So that's what you have to do in your field as well. And of course, we have a variety of people in here today. So we have academic careers on one side and non-academic careers on the other. And for some of you, how many of you are considering faculty, administration, or research in education? Okay, all right. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. And then how many, I guess the rest of you are considering non-academic careers? And we're talking private businesses, government, nonprofit organizations, start your own business, right? Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. And it's so important as we go through this to think about, again, that's why I gave this to you at the beginning of the workshop, how this relates to what we're talking about and how you need to be incorporating these habits for your individualized plan. All right, so if you are thinking academic job search, this is kind of a breakdown here. I stole it from the Berkeley Career Center. Figured they were probably a credible source, right? If you're thinking about the academic job search, this is a breakdown of the U.S. colleges and how they break down. You'll see doctoral research universities comprise about 7% of our universities in the nation. And then we have about 16% master's colleges, universities, 15% grading bachelor degree only, and associate colleges, associate degrees, junior colleges, community colleges, that's 42%. So that makes up a large percentage of our colleges. And we're seeing in higher ed that a lot of people are learning, are going more the community college route, both faculty and administration, because of the large employment base that it has. But if your dream, of course, is to go to this doctoral research university, which if you're a researcher right now, is probably the goal, you see that you have 7% of the nation's schools to apply to. 7%. And I don't say that to scare you. I say that to say good for you for being here today, because it takes more than just getting the doctorate. It takes being competitive and being savvy in your professional development, which a lot of times, again, our programs, just due to time and having to teach you content, can't focus on your development as a profession. So it's good that you're here today, because 7% in the nation, and then some of you probably kind of care about where you live. So then that kind of reduces the number again, and then you got to think about openings. So again, you can't start too early. It's not said to scare you, it's just to say, okay, this is why you have to be focused on that professional development. Now this says tips for the faculty job search, and I'm going to switch over to the non-academic in just a minute, but this applies to everybody. It really does. So stay tuned for all of this too, okay? Stay alert. Always be cognizant of deadlines. I tell people when they're applying, for example, here at the university, and not just for faculty jobs, for any type of administrative role here at the university, because we have so many people apply for a position, we only have to legally put it up, I think it's 5 days. And if we get like 80 applicants for a position, that job comes down, simply because we seem to have enough people to probably pick out a good candidate. So if you are on the job market and you find a job that you're interested in, you can't apply too fast. So that's why you need to have all your documents ready and be ready to go so that you tweak it for the job that you're applying to and get it off. With faculty job searches and some job searches, they'll have deadlines. Make sure that when you're on the market, because you're applying to so many different positions, that you are cognizant of those deadlines. Because once you miss, sometimes that's a way of cutting people. Simply because they have so many people to look at, there's got to be some ways to get through that break. So they may not make an exception for you after you've missed the deadline. That applies to anybody, okay? Not just faculty. Everybody should make sure that you get your CV critiqued, your curriculum vitae, your resume, depending on which one version you're using, any type of letters, job correspondence, any of that needs to be critiqued. If you're like me, when I'm reading over a letter, I kind of fill in things in my head if I've written it, because I know it was supposed to say that, so I may leave out the word and completely just, not even realize it. So have several people look at it. At the Career Center, we can do that for you. You can sit down with a person and make an appointment, we can go over it, or you can drop it off and we can review it for you. I would also advise that if you're in a highly technical field, especially the sciences, because we aren't necessarily scientists in the Career Center, that you'll need to have, besides us, we can check for formatting issues and correct grammar and spelling, but besides us, you will need to have your faculty members look at it as well to check for the fit for the profession. Okay. Do your research on the institution. Okay, so first question is, somebody answers this, you get this really cool pad folio to take home with you today. Why would you need to do your research on a variety of institutions if you are going into the academic job market?
Because if they ask you why you want to work for us, why you want to be here, you have to answer. And if you know more inside information about them, you make a better impression rather than just show up somewhere and you don't even know where you live.
Exactly.
Basically, that's the point.
Exactly. What's your name?
Diana.
Vilana?
Yeah.
Pretty. Thank you very much. That was exactly right. Yes, you have to know about an institution that you're going for, a company that you're going for, both academic and non-academic job searches. It's important to know that a little bit about them so that you can explain why you want to work there. It's also important to realize this job search is a two-way street, and they have to please you as well. So if as you're reading up on a company or an institution, you're like, this is just not a good fit for me, that's probably an indication this is probably not the route you want to go. So you have to be savvy, you have to do your research on the institution. It's also important if you're a researcher or if you're trying to go into a faculty position so that you see if your research interests align with the department's mission that you're applying to. Are you going to be a good fit for them? And if so, you have to sell yourself and tell them why. And you can only do that through the research on the institution. I might have been kind of, I don't know, a weird way to de-stress as a graduate student, but I found, maybe it's a sign that I absolutely love what I do. I absolutely love learning about different colleges and schools. So when I wanted to procrastinate, and Facebook wasn't really around at that point, and I didn't have other opportunities to procrastinate in other ways, I would do research on different schools and universities. So I would flip over from whatever statistics homework or whatever I was doing, flip over to Googling different, colleges' websites to see where did I want to go, where did I want to end up, and getting a feel from the tone of their website of the school. So that's what I say when I said, I know you're really busy, but this doesn't take that much time. It can actually be a de-stressor in a way to do your research and just kind of lazily look at a website, play on the web, see what's out there, because this is why you're working so hard. So, get to that point where you can be seen as a successful professional. Know yourself. So how do you know yourself? What do I mean by that?
Know what you're looking for, know what you're good at, what you bring to the table.
Okay, exactly. We have a fancy way of saying that in the Career Center. We say, know your VIPs. Okay, so I write this down. VIPs, and this will help you not only figure out where to apply to, but it also will help you on an interview because you'll be able to communicate who you are as a professional. Know your values, that's what V stands for, and that's different for everybody. But know what you will value in a profession and what you will need to have in your personal life, whether it's geographic location or something like that, to be happy as a professional. So what do you value? What are your interests? What's going to make you happy to go to work every day? That definitely needs to be present in the job that you're looking for. Know your personality, what environments that you work well in and what environments that you don't work well in, and be honest with yourself so that you can figure out what is the best fit for you. And your skill set. And that really needs to be reflected upon right now, so that if there is a missing skill that you need to pick up in the meantime, between here and graduation, you could do so that you'll be competitive when you go to apply for a job. The job talk is basically a speech that faculty members have to give when they are candidates for a faculty position. And I'm not really going to go into that today, but know that you definitely need to practice it. And if you need help with that area in your job search, I can definitely help you with that area of preparing you for an interview. All of you should complete as many mock interviews as possible. It is a skill. Is a skill. Interviewing is a skill. And we can help you with that at the Career Center. We can even set up a panel interview, which most of you will experience through your job search. We can do one-on-one. We have a variety of scripts representing all kinds of different fields. And we're pretty tough on you, because that way you'll get the best experience and you'll know what you need to do in order to be successful. So I advise that you take advantage of that, do several. You will find yourself getting better over time through that series of mock interviews. And also, if you have a trusted faculty member or a mentor that's in your field, I would ask them as well to assist you. You cannot do enough interviews. And I always ask for tips and advice. Talk to your faculty members. Understand, especially if you're going into that academic job route, ask them their story. Ask them for what did they learn from and what would they do differently. It's so important that you start early. I cannot stress that enough, because the earlier you start, the less time that you have to make up for in trying to figure out this information. This is the typical faculty search timeline, so you know what you're getting into. So if you were graduating in May and you actually wanted to start working in fall for a faculty position, this is the time you start looking. Some positions right now are being advertised. The majority will probably be advertised around October, November. Different fields vary. It takes pretty much a year process to do. Very few times do you have a faster faculty search, unless it's just a rush and maybe they got funding last minute. But you can tell in academia we like to take our time, ponder things. Okay, so if you're going on the market, know that when you get ready to go on the market, you start looking fall of the year before you want to get a job, because this is how it goes. And this process goes through from fall till about April or May. Some will be a little bit less, some will be a little bit more time, but if you start looking now, you'll be good. Questions so far? If you're looking for academic jobs, and this could be faculty, research, administration, you can look at these different websites that I've given, so you have somewhere to start looking. So great, this is a website I used to peruse all the time too. I mean, I read it now for the articles, but peruse just to see, they would have really good job descriptions on these websites. So you can see what you need to pick up. Thechronicle.com is one, and that is a listing for all types of positions in higher education. How many of y'all have looked at the Chronicle? Anybody in here? No, this group over here has. No, the higher ed over here. Okay, so this is a really good one. It doesn't matter the field. It shows all fields, okay? So this is a good one. And the only thing about it, though, if you're not going into faculty or research, and you're thinking more executive or administration, you will find some lower level, entry level type positions here, but the Chronicle's pretty expensive to post in. So faculty research definitely post in here for nationwide searches, not so much for entry level administrative type roles. You see it occasionally, they may have a good budget for advertising, but because it's so expensive, I think that's why a lot of the entry level, with the exception of assistant professor or something like that, it's not posted in Chronicle. Academic 360 is another good one. Academic360.com. And this, of course, is all on y'all's handout, showing y'all what it looks like. Inside Higher Ed, excuse me, .com. And Inside Higher Ed, I know for sure, and Chronicle, I'm not so sure about Academic 360. They have great articles just on professional development. So that applies to anybody. You can go on there and just, kind of hear the woes of other people going through the interview process and what they've learned, or how to write a better CV. The Chronicle even has a CV doctor on it. So it's a really good resource for anybody that, even if you're looking at other postings and other online sources, this is good just to have these articles to kind of know what other people are going